From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE as I'm back with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we got to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to you and the American people with that recon procedural passed on the Senate. Next stop is the House. I'll go over the breaking news as well. Then we cut to the voting process, a two-path process. Well, actually three. Recon procedural, recon substantive, and bipartisan. New wranglings happening overnight as several House Democrats say they're going to block the recon. Excuse me? Do you dare? Then a familiar face is back in the mix. Nancy Pelosi has your back. Jalopal has your back. The president has your back. I have all the incredible great news about the fourth stimulus recon voting process. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which heats up as new thoughts about inflation going higher are there. And that's incredible great news of raising your benefits up, SSI and SSDI. Then we cut to the big money across the board as viewers continue to get big sums of money. George got $8,000 for rent overnight, and Louis, and of course Mark, with $50,000. It's a big day. It's a big noontime. I'm excited for all the big afternoon as well. I'm excited for you with all the great news. Let's get to it. It's Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. Unfortunately, it got hot here. Oh, boy, you heard me all week long say, beautiful weather, and then it came. Thursday, it started coming on, and then Friday, it's been hot. It's been hot like it's going to pop. Rockin', lockin', hot and pop. There you go. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we go over a lot of breaking details, but first jump on the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. We're going to go over those monthly stimulus checks and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we cut to the recon, the incredible deliciousness of that fourth stimulus recon. $3.5 trillion have been passed by the U.S. Senate. Next stop, the House. And I'm going to go over all these checks that are in that recon for you. Then we go over the voting process. Breaking news overnight again, as a series of Democratic House members are vowing to block your recon. Do they dare? Then a series of other House Democrats are vowing to block the infrastructure. Oh, really? It's getting very interesting. And why are they vowing to block it? Because of crypto. Oh, yes, it's all happening. Nancy has your back. Jalopal has your back. The president has your back as they spoke out in the last few hours as well. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, was raising your benefits up a lifetime. And then we get to the big money across the board as viewers continue to rake in enormous sums of money. And I'm going to go over how Mark got over $50,000 and how you can be the next Mark as well. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoon. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto, live on air. This video will automatically take you there. You don't have to lift a finger, sort of like a congressional leader. And then is Evening's LALATE at 5 o'clock, a new show tonight. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get to the breaking news starting right off the bat. House versus Senate, Senate versus House, monthly stimulus checks, both of them, and different number of checks and different amounts. Let's go over everything you need to know, starting right now. So the House and the Senate both have those checks, but they pay out different amounts. House is pandemic plus 1 year, and Senate is a little bit different. Let's start with the House. Pandemic plus 1 year, stimulus check, monthly, Senate July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House $1,000 after the first month, Senate unknown, but one on the streets, the Senate would pay you this deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. The pandemic is raging out of control, and if you heard the breaking news out of Broward County overnight, very sad situation, as nearly a half a dozen teachers have died within 24 hours in Broward County because of Governor DeSantis's inhumane mask position. They literally have died within 24 hours, and yet the teachers union is not changing its position. Pandemic is not over. That would mean that pandemic plus 1 year would pay checks under the House bill, which would be more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000. Compare that to this and the Senate. I think you have an opinion. Vote House of Senate, and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. And please keep those teachers and their families in your prayers. It's not a reason to die because of governors' crazy wacko positions. There you go. Then let's cut to who gets that forced stimulus check. Democrats represent, you do. If you're a single individual, 75,000 or less, Democrats represent, you get a forced stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less, Democrats represent, you get one as well. Double it. And a family of four, Democrats represent, you get it. Quadruple it. And then if you're an individual on benefits, Democrats represent, you get one as well. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits. The forced stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The forced stimulus check will be the same amount for adult dependents and everyone else. And the forced stimulus check is not a waivable check. So if I'm at the beach this weekend live recording for you, please do not ask me to waive the check because I will not be set up again like that. Don't ask me to waive the check because I may just waive the check again and say, hey, check, how are you? And then you're going to say, hey, he didn't wave back at you. I told you. It's not a rude check. It's just not a waivable check. When you're saying my lines on air, it's a bad situation. And there we go. In the second half of this video, we cut to the recon. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. That's the $3.5 trillion recon. Passed the House. Pass. Great news. This week, it's the procedural path had passed. Next stop is it passed the Senate. Next stop is the House. But why are a series of House Democrats vowing to block it? Oh, boy. Then in the third part of this video, we'll go over Nancy, who has your back on this, the President, Jalop Paul, and also Schumer. We'll go over new dates that were revealed and a new twist, as a series of other Democrats are vowing to block the bipartisan because of the provision in there about crypto. Really getting fascinating. But first, also heating up is fifth stimulus. We're just a few days away from that SSI and SSDI reform that you've been wanting. And the legislative process for it starts in just a few days. It's coming up later in this video. But first, let's get some money. Get a pen and paper ready because it's Friday. And Friday means Monday. Money, because you know what? You're going to the casino. You need this money. We're going to get some rent, utilities, food, internet, and more. I had told you initially that for rent, I can get you $5,000 for rent. Well, are you ready for the numbers? They are absolutely deliciousness. Here we go. There, my goodness. Elizabeth getting $27,000 for rent. Mark getting $25,000. $24,000 for Nancy. $22,000 for Richard. And $20,000 for Nisi. These are Purple Hawks. These are members. These are viewers. These are people who watch day in, day out. These are people who are sharing the videos with their neighbors, like Mark says he shared the video with his neighbor, and the neighbor now got $20,000 for rent. If you've had success stories, send me private messages on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and I'll read them on air. Congratulations to the other people who continue to get these big sums of money. So here we go. Pamela sent me a message, $12,000 for rent. Carla got money for multiple items. Also, Tiffany got $13,000 for rent and other items, I learned. Rita got $6,000 for rent and other items. And Jennifer got $5,000 for rent and other items. Cecilia got money for heat. The great news continues coming in. Gonzalez here out of California got $8,000 for rent. Now let's turn to some SNAP. What is SNAP? SNAP is money for, let's turn to utilities first. Utilities is water, gas, heating, oil. I said I could get you $300 for that. How much are viewers now getting? You're ready? Here we go. $7,000. Wow. Congratulations. Great news. Mark getting $6,500. Angela getting $5,000. Then Snap, I said $4,000 to $5,000. Are you ready for these numbers? Incredible. Wow. Louis, great job. $18,000 he got for Snap. John, $10,000 for Snap. And Nancy, $5,000 for Snap. And then for people who got multiple sums of money, 2 or 3 items, are you ready for this? Can I hear a drum roll? Can I hear a drum roll? Ready? Bam. Wow. Nancy, congratulations. Getting $32,000 from this channel for 3 items, rent, utilities, and Snap. Nisi, $23,000 for 3 items. And Mark, $32,000 for 2 items. 2 items? Yeah, that's what happened with Mark. He got $32,000 for 2 items. And Then over the next 7 days, I recorded a video every day telling Mark on camera, Mark, go get Snap. It's easy. I got 2 items. Why didn't you get the third? So Mark heard my recordings. He went back and got Snap. How much do you think he got? You think he got a couple thousand? You think he got 6,000? I initially said to Mark, get 8,000 on camera. So that would bring your grand total of 40,000. I mean, 40,000 is such a great number, isn't it? Well, he heard my advice and he went back and got Snap. He got more than 8,000. He got more than 10,000. He got $19,000 for Snap, bringing his grand total to $50,000. And boy, can we top that? I forgot to bring on my camera. We can top that. One viewer overnight got over $100,000 from this channel. And I'm not talking about EIDL loans or grants. I'm talking about rent, utilities, and Snap. I'm going to have more about that incredible achievement coming up next on Evenings LALATE. But this is LALATE, where people are getting enormous sums of money. I've been doing this since day one, and that's what happened in April of last year. I launched this channel because people were not getting paid their EIDL loans or grants, and I went on camera and recorded videos helping them through the application process to get them approved when they were locked up in a vortex of nowhere land. And then off camera, I was helping get their applications from vortex to approval with the volunteers. And we were doing nearly 10 approvals a day, 150,000 a pop. $25 million of EIDL loans were paid out because of this channel, saving people's homes and the business and their employees' homes. But now we saw the same situation happen much like this in December of last year. When people were waiting for a $600 second stimulus check, it was not coming and viewers needed the money. So I stepped forward and I got viewers $250,000 for rent. Tyrone and his family flew out of Boston. Got $15,000, $16,000 for rent, paid all their rent to the new year. And it went from December to February and March. Now we're doing it bigger than ever before. And now we're getting upwards of $250,000 a week. That was before that viewer who got over $100,000 overnight. Their incredible details coming up tonight on Evenings LALATE. But first, get a pen and paper ready, because if you just found this channel, welcome. If you're new to this channel and have not gotten the money, welcome. And if you got one sum of the money, I'm going to get you those sums of money right now. You're going to reach out to, this is what the guidance is. First, I'm going to show you different places to reach out to. Each has different eligibility. Each has their own pots of money. Number two, you need to keep on pushing, because one may say no, reach out to the next because they have their own eligibility. Number three, every state pays out money. There's not a single place in the United States that doesn't pay out money. And I saw that on Early Mornings LA today. A viewer said there's nothing in Mississippi, was what the viewer's comment was in the live chat. Immediately, two other viewers said, I got a Mississippi, and here's where you go. I love that. That's the spirit of helping. There's not a single state that doesn't pay out the money. And finally, the incredible great news is that you can get it. All right, are you ready? You can reach out to different places with different eligibility. Where are they? 6 places to go. City Hall, City Housing Authority. County Hall, County Housing Authority. State Hall, State Housing Authority. The key words you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Yeah, don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's fan club. And there you go. And congratulations to everyone who got money for rent and utilities. If you did as well, post in the live chat right now. And Tim got it and Linda got it as well. Let's turn to some SNAP. SNAP is money for food. It comes from Department of Agriculture. How much does it pay? It pays a lot. What is the eligibility? Easier than a stimulus check. Why would you not get it? And Louis got $18,000 from it. Mark, $19,000. John, $10,000 to $12,000. Lynn Glenn got it for herself and her son and her mom. How much does it pay? A lot. A family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden and one from Trump, that raised your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. We're killing it. If you got Snap as well, post in the live chat. And we're only 14 minutes of this video. We've gotten $27,000 for rent. We've gotten $19,000 for SNAP and $9,000 for utilities. We're just getting started. And the next pile of money coming to is the refund check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and a computer error. Not your computer, their darn computer. So where's it landing? Direct deposit. How do you track it? Reach out to your state and say to the state, hey, state, where's that check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and a computer error? And when you track it, can you track it on a computer that's actually turned on? It just sort of helps. And then finally, that refund check coming back from IRS on that payment of your 2020 taxes. Where is it landing? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. And guess what? It's a waivable check. Sorry, Mitch. Yeah, Mitch doesn't like that. The waivable check average payout is about $1,400 a month. 1,200, $1,400 one time. And it's gonna and there's a direct deposit and there is a paper check routing every week, a new waivable check every week. But before we go over more about that, here's a personal message. If you're on the live chat, make sure you post your success stories because when you do, you help other people. The spirit of this channel is me helping you and you helping others. Much like how I just described that chat this morning where people said, I got money in Mississippi, there is money in Mississippi, and here's where you go and get it. I love that. I adore that. Here's 3 other ways you can help viewers by posting your success stories in the live chat. Number 1, you inspire people to go get the sums of money because people sometimes don't realize it until they see it. And I may see it on camera, but then it's a whole different level when they see people in the live chat saying they got utilities. You got utilities? I have a utility bill. I would love my utilities to be paid. Then it also inspires them to give sums of money they never knew about. A lot of people never heard of Snap until they found this channel. Larry Maui never did. He got upwards of $500 a month. And then when people get 3 items, it inspires people who got 1 to go get the other ones. Art Sullivan got 3, Nisi got 3. They inspired Nancy to get 3, and then Mark, you saw, got 2 and inspired him to get the other 3, the other 1. And there you go. Let's go back to those unemployment benefits. How much, where, and when? Let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Can you track it? Yeah. Go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. 70% of the time it'll reveal the taxes you paid and the tax return you filed. And then it'll reveal stuff you didn't want to know, like when Bernie goes to Mitch's barbecue, does he wear his mittens? And then it'll reveal the refund check you're getting. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the second part of your forced stimulus check updated right now, starting right now. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the forced stimulus recon. And the recon passed the U.S. Senate this week. It passed, the procedural path passed. And this is great news. Why? Let's go back in time to understand how this is so significant. We've had previous stimulus packages that were this big, this big, this big. This one is this big. It's 1,000% bigger. Number 2, the previous stimulus packages were nearly 80 to 90% just for U.S. corporations. This one is nearly 99% for checks for you. And how did they achieve this? By taking roads and bridges out of the recon and putting it into something called the bipartisan. And while the bipartisan may have passed the U.S. Senate this week, for step 1, it's far from over. And bipartisan is part of the discussion because guess what? The president says he has to have both bipartisan and recon on his desk at the same time. So we have to track both bodies of law at the same time to ensure they both pass. How do we achieve this point? By taking the roads and bridges out of the recon and putting them into the bipartisan, as confirmed by a conservative publications op-ed confirming my reporting. The higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, roads and bridges, and put it into the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan made the recon passable, and the recon made the bipartisan passable. Here's what's happened, is that once the recon was shrunk, the Democrats were able to bring it back out a little bit bolder. The Democratic House and the Democratic senators, progressives, were meeting with the White House daily to ensure that they got a big enough number that they wanted. $3.5 trillion was a result of those caucus meetings between the progressives and the White House daily. So the fact that the bill is landing in the House to approve the $3.5 trillion price tag is a no-brainer, presuming nothing goes wrong, because that price tag was already agreed upon earlier on. As Representative Richie Torres says, we have to have a recon. We have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie. 3.5 trillion. Congratulations, passed. Representative Ilhan Omar, we have to have a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, passed. 3.5 trillion. The progressives were told by the White House to protect the recon because everything in the recon is checks for you. And the president said, protect my recon. Quote, the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon its own priorities, said Brian Schatz, senator, and Jalapal, House member. Now, what is a recon? What is a bipartisan? What is a recon procedural? And what is a recon substantive? Let's separate all the details starting right now. It's important to keep them separate because along the way, if you don't, you're going to get confused. I had one viewer, I think it was yesterday in the middle of the day, jumped into one of the chats and said, I looked at the infrastructure and there's no money in there for the American people. Yeah, that's right. You're looking at the wrong bill. You're supposed to be looking at the recon. So recon is your money. Bipartisan is not your money. Recon is 3.5 trillion. Bipartisan is 1.5 trillion. Recon is also called reconciliation or the budget bill. Bipartisan, on the other hand, is called also the infrastructure, 1.5 trillion. And away we go. There are three actual bills we're focusing on: recon procedural, recon substantive, and then bipartisan. So what's the difference between this recon procedural and recon substantive? So recon procedural just passed the Senate. It's now over to the House. Recon procedural is done before recon substantive, as I have been reporting to you for nearly 4 months. There were a lot of people elsewhere that were sort of surprised that there were 2 steps to the recon, and I'm not quite sure why they're surprised. Oh, wait, yeah, I am. They weren't watching here, because I always told people that there were 2 steps to the recon procedural and recon substantive. Recon procedural has really 2 questions at hand. And they're very, very, very basic overview questions. 1, do you agree to do a recon at a price tag of 3.5 trillion at a later date? Yes. And do you agree to split the money between congressional committees at certain percentages? $5 for this committee, $10 for that committee? Yes. That's all it says. Done. It doesn't talk about how to spend the money, who gets the money, when it goes out. It simply says, do you agree to do a recon? We agree. And the price tag will be 3.5. Yes, we agree. And that the money will be split between congressional committees, which will determine at a later date how to spend the money. That's all it does. So after recon procedural is passed, then those committees are delegated the money. Then those committees come back and write legislation as to how to spend the money. So recon substantive is where House committees determine how to spend the money. How they're going to spend the money, who they're going to give it to, when, what timeline, and everything across the board. Pretty straightforward when it's explained to you. So who writes a recon, and how does it get written? So the next step is a recon procedural goes to the House, gets approved in the House, then the House subcommittees write the recon substantive. Now, they've already been writing it, we were always told, so I'm going to stay with that. Ultimately, we're not shown what they're written, what they're taking in, what they're taking out, because under the Constitution, there's a requirement for them to show us what they're doing along the way. The House subcommittees delegate different subject matters under the Constitution. For example, House Ways and Means is responsible for writing about stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. When all the subcommittees are done with what they're writing, they send them up to Chuck Schumer and combine those 10 pages, for example, from 10 subcommittees, and he puts a big S on it. Now, if we start on the House side, which you're going to hear later in this video, we may be starting on the House side when we do recon substantive. They'll have an H on it for House. And there we go. How did we get to the spot? We got to the spot from Jalopal telling Schumer in a letter, call the vote on the recon. Well, we did, and the recon passed the House, the Senate this week. And that letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who were part of the 100-plus House Democrats who recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Wow, can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Subcommittee, the one we just went over, yes, recently wrote the president a letter saying, we are going to write monthly fourth stimulus checks when we write the fourth stimulus package. Well, Purple Power, they're writing right now, so you need to push and ensure that they put those monthly fourth stimulus checks in there as they so promise. Can we top that? We can, as the president did it. He went overseas 7 weeks ago to have a ceremonial signature, but the real signature happened a few days ago. It's for something that makes it easy breezy now going forward. Why? It's a confusing, complicated, boring thing called the Global Minimum Corporate Tax Rate Minimum. How exhausting is that to say? Now it's great news because it doesn't go in the recon and makes it easier to pass the recon. First, easier to write the recon because it's not in there. Easier to call the vote on the recon, easier to vote on the recon, and easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing is not in there. And can we top that? Yes. There's a lot of breaking news in the final 15 minutes of this video today. Boy, I hope I get it all in because there's a lot of twists. A new effort against the bipartisan, a new effort against the recon. Nancy Pelosi protecting the recon, Jalopal, the president, new dates, sooner dates, and new excitement and new promise and optimism across the board. Then a familiar face back in the mix as well, and a personal message. And with that, if there's something more wonderful than that, yes, the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, food, or internet or more, reach out to them. They're on the community page. Where is the community page? Open the description of this video. Go down into the description and find them. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them and help you get those big sums of money. And I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Afternoons LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on LALATE this afternoon with breaking news across the board. As some people are trying to derail the bipartisan roads and bridges and other people are trying to derail the recon, oh boy, do they dare. In the second half of this video, I'll be going over those breaking developing details and what Nancy Pelosi has to say about all this. Then we'll be cutting it to Vistimals as well. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. I told you there's going to be a lot of dramatics this weekend, so stay with me all weekend long, because you see, even on a Friday afternoon, there's a lot of dramatics. A lot of people are going to have a lot to say. Why? Because there's election cycle coming up, and people are ready to talk out and talk in favor and against things. So stay with me all weekend long. Meantime, the President of the United States, during his run for president, said that he was going to raise your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. He did not deliver it. And so now the congressional leaders are taking care of this for you in what's called fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus starts in just a few days, and this is great news. First, they'll raise your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI through a one-time lift. They'll start legislating this in September. Then they'll apply the benchmark in December for next year's benefits. How does this work? Let's go over all the details. Step one, they'll raise your benefits up. Number two, they'll remove the asset limit. Then they'll apply the inflationary benchmark. They're going to remove the marriage penalty and then remove the income exclusion. How does this work? Let's go over all the details starting right now. It's for you. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. First thing they'll do is raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark will be inflation. Where is inflation going? It's going to be transitory. And that means it's going to reach its temporary spike in December. How high is that spike going to be? It's going to be about 5% is what I'm reporting. Wow. So that spike is exactly when they apply your benchmark. Let's go over the analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply the benchmark. And if the benchmark is 5%, that means your benefits will step up another 5%, because once your benefits step up, they never step down. If the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be at +2, +5%. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. You can't have more than $3,000 in hand and stay on benefits. Then they're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and also stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. A love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and no longer fear a loss of benefits. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus. But will there be another stimulus check as well? Yes, there will. Those Senate Democrats, those House Democrats, Ways and Means, represent they're giving you another one in the fifth stimulus package. Meantime, if you're in the live chat and you notice people who are getting big sums of money that have a purple hawk emoji next to their name, you need to consider joining as well. The link to join is underneath the video. Join and become a purple hawk so you get access to all this incredible information. Daily, I deliver to the YouTube members, Purple Hawks, a breakdown of all the big money available for you under all these stimulus packages. It's delivered via the YouTube community page written by me. Let's go over all the details of this starting right now. When second stimulus was passed, there was a $600 stimulus check in there. And I said, don't be focused on the $600 stimulus check because it's going to come and go and you're going to spend it and then you're going to say, where's the next check? I said, focus on the other big sums of money under that package. I said, I can get you $6,000. Well, I got Tyrone and his family of 4 out of Boston, $14,000 at the time, paying all their rent to the new year. They got incredible financial freedom. And that financial freedom freed up all their bills for rent between now and the spring. Then we did the same thing in January. In January, I launched the Purple Hawks, to refer to people who were looking at third stimulus and saying, there's a $14 stimulus check in there. I said, sure there is, but don't be focused on it. You're going to get in and spend it and then say, where's my next check? I said, there's a lot of other items in that third stimulus package that is application-based, big monies for you to get. So go after those big sums of money because money is money. And they did. And that is why it's important to become a Purple Hawk. And more about this subject matter starting right now. Here's how the federal government looks at you when they're doing all these stimulus packages. They look at you as a person who has a lot of bills. Maybe you have 7 bills. And the first 5 are rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, and the next 2 are shoes for the kids and fixing the car in the driveway. When they're not going to fix the car in the driveway, they're not going to put shoes in the kids, but they'll pay the first 5 bills. So if you let them pay the first 5 bills by applying for the items in these stimulus packages, you get financial freedom, independence. You are no longer dependent upon those bills because they're paid for by the federal government for a couple months. And with the federal government picking up the tab for those bills, then you're freed up with cash. You don't have to spend your cash or benefit checks on those bills. Now you have that cash to pay for the car and the shoes in the driveway. That's the road to financial independence as a viewer of this channel. And with that, let's go into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now with Deal Done. The $3.5 trillion forced stimulus recon is a passed bill for the procedural aspect from the Senate. Let's go over all the details starting right now. We've had stimulus packages before of different sizes, but this is the biggest we've ever seen. And those previous ones were nearly 80 and 90% for corporate America. This one's nearly 100% for you. There's certainly room to get a stimulus check in there. And step 1 was recon procedural. That recon procedural passed the U.S. Senate. It's now heading to the U.S. House. And once that is passed, then they do recon procedural. Now, let's go over everything you need to know, starting with Nancy and the President and Jalapal's comments, then going to the time frames, then going to the new words of opposition, and then the new words of optimism, and then finally a personal message from me as well. All right, let's first go over Nancy and the President. First, the President assures the American people that he is not going to sign just the roads and bridges without the bipartisan. He says, if the bipartisan is the only thing that comes to me, and that's the only thing that comes to me, I'm not signing it. And he also says, as to the bipartisan, I know I propose it, but I'm not going to forget the rest of the stuff I propose, the recon. They're both equally important. That is the President. Then Nancy has had a series of comments. First, she said, as I said, there won't be a bipartisan unless we have a recon passed. In fact, I use the word ain't. Then Jalapal also says that the House members will not vote in favor of the bipartisan without the recon pass. Then Nancy, this week, less than 24 hours ago, spoke and said, I'm not freelancing, meaning she's not just talking by herself. This is the consensus of my Democratic caucus. The votes are in, and the House and Senate depend on having both bills. All right, let's go over why Nancy said that. Nancy knows how messaging is very important, and this is what's happening today. A series of people, again, from that awful representative who claims to be a Democrat, but really makes you wonder if he is. Josh out of New Jersey, the problem creator who has singularly never given you a penny in his existence in the last year, but has caused you nothing but problems, is back now with a letter today signed by, I think it's 8 or 9 House Democrats saying that they will vote against the recon. Why? I mean, what is with this guy's problem? He doesn't make any sense. I mean, he doesn't deliver anything for the American people. All he does is say no to everything. I just never seen anything like this guy. Does Nancy worry about him? No. Now, conservative publications are running the story and eating up alive because they're running the numbers game, which is Nancy can't lose this many can't lose any Democrats because the balance of power is so tied and this and that. But it's just like, what is with this guy? He has done this before, and all he does is try to get publicity, and he gets a lot of publicity for himself. And ultimately, when the voting comes, he just caves in and votes in the party line. So again, he's back with the same narrative. On the other front, surprisingly, Ro Khanna and a series of other Democratic House members are now going to voting to block the bipartisan in some part. Why? Because of the crypto provision that got in there. The House members are much more crypto friendly and don't like the way this crypto provision has been inserted into the roads and bridges. Now, remember, you need the roads and bridges to pass to get our recon pass. So Ro Khanna not wanting the crypto in there is good for crypto, but you don't want the roads and bridges to implode because recon could struggle as well. All right, so then we have some great news from Kevin McCarthy and Nancy Pelosi as to time frame. We were initially told some dates, and now the dates are a little bit earlier, so that's great news. Let's go over the dates that have been revealed. You see some asterisks on this chart. The asterisks are proposed, and if it's proposed, it's not a firm date or a firm place. The H refers to House, and the S refers to substantive, and the P refers to procedural. August 23rd, they have set the vote for the recon procedural in the House of Representatives, August 23rd. That's a firm date and a firm location. Next, they have a firm date of September 15th to call the vote on the recon substantive, but the location is not certain yet. They initially said it was going to be the Senate. Now they're considering the House. I love the House because guess what? The House wants to give more money always. 2, the House has a lot more progressives. 3, the House is actually writing the bill. So I like it starting the House. House members always give you more money than senators. Then when we go to 9:30, proposed date to have the recon done by by 9:30. Very fascinating news across the board. All right, so then let me go over what you need to know about recon substantive versus recon procedural. Recon procedural, with the exception of Josh and his, Joshers, problem creators, is a no-brainer. Recon procedural is a no-brainer in the House. Why? Because the House members were part of the caucus to agree to a $3.5 trillion price tag. So it's not like they were never part of that discussion. They wanted the $3.5 trillion price tag. So I don't see the recon procedural ever struggling to pass. Then once that passes, then they go do the recon substantive. Ultimately, these Democrat progressives have promised you these stimulus checks in there. You need to push, and you need to push very hard. They're currently writing the legislation now for the recon substantive. So you need to push really well. Which brings us back to a familiar face. Back in the mix on this channel. Seats for stimulus, and people were ecstatic. It's back. Seats for stimulus was a topic I launched on this channel last year called Seats, SEATS, the number 4, then stimulus, all together with a hashtag in front of it. Basically, you're running a Twitter campaign to say, hey, if you don't give us stimulus, we're taking away your seats. Here are the numbers that are happening this time around. There's 6 House seats up for re-election in November, and trust me, this legislation is very close in time to that. They don't want anything that looks bad 60 days before you go in the polls. So 60 days before you go in the polls is, or 90 days before you go to the polls is about now. So they don't want anything bad. 6 House seats are up for grabs. Then next year, nearly 40% of the Senate seats are up for grabs. So there's a big balance of power at issue. Go on social media, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, say seats for stimulus. Give us the stimulus we need, or I'm going to take your seats. Finally, a personal message from me to you. You're doing a great job. I know it's been a tough week. because the congressional leaders told you something and didn't stay for it. Initially, Chuck and Nancy said it would be done into law by July 4th. Then they said it would be done into law by the August recess. I know they didn't deliver. But on the other hand, there's 2 ways to approach life. And here's what I'm seeing in some of the comments. It's very important. Positivity, focus, pushing is one point. But false positives is not a good thing. What's a false positive? I see some people who are just focused on dates and things arriving in their hands. And that's very donut-ish, guy. Here's an example. I put up this graphic, every broadcast now, and this graphic, and you see the last one, recon done September 30th. And I tell you, it's a proposed date to get the recon done. And some people are saying, so can you tell me if I can update my direct deposit so I can get my check on September 30th? The graphic doesn't say you're getting a check on September 30th. The graphic says they're calling the final vote to get it done by September 30th as proposed. They're not even sure that's a firm date yet, but that is what they're proposing for September 30th. Why do I bring this up? Because you have to push. You saw early in this video where Josh and his group are trying to block the recon from ever even becoming a law, which means nothing for anything would ever formulate. You have Rokon and the other group trying to block the bipartisan, and if the bipartisan doesn't pass, then your recon doesn't pass. So you see that you have to really focus on getting things passed. You need to push on focus to get things passed. You can't presume anything. Positivity, staying focused, and pushing is one thing. But on the other hand, you can't sit back and say, so on September 30th, how am I going to get it? By direct deposit? It's not a law yet. It's not a law yet. You need to push. And that is why it's important to remain focused. I know in a day like this where there's so much breaking news across the board, it can be confusing and complicated. And for that reason, I'm back with you at 5 o'clock with Evenings LALATE. And I look forward to seeing you then. There's going to be a lot more breaking news and more about that viewer who got over $100,000 from this channel. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, stay on this video. It'll automatically take you to Overnight's Crypto, currently playing live on the channel. You don't have to lift a finger, serve like a congressional leader. It'll just take you there automatically. Overnight's Crypto Night live on the air coming up next. And then I'll see you on Evenings LALATE.